A decision has been made at the highest echelons of power that the world is just not working, and a wholesale revamp is needed, according to a senior European royal. In particular, the ongoing pandemic is entirely a drug-pushing effort, and means all of the world's civilian governments are suspected of engaging in genocide, according to MI6, CIA, and other intelligence agencies. To summarize, the world's military and intelligence agencies have come to the conclusion that Western civilian governments have been hijacked by a satanic cult and need to be removed. The process is being started off with the removal of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Mossad sources say. This particular character is a very difficult one, and the only way to remove someone like him is to manage them out, the royal family source said. The implication is Netanyahu possesses plenty of blackmail insurance and needs to be given certain guarantees in exchange for relinquishing power. In any case, even Rothschild family-owned propaganda outlets like AP are now reporting his removal. A former ally of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday said he would seek to form a coalition government with the Israeli leader's opponents, taking a major step toward ending the rule of the longtime premier. The dramatic announcement by Naftali Bennett, leader of the small hardline Yamina party, set the stage for a series of steps that could push Netanyahu and his dominant Likud party into the opposition in the coming week. While Bennett and his new partners, headed by opposition leader Yair Lapid, still face some obstacles, the sides appeared to be serious about reaching a deal and ending the deadlock that has plunged the country into 4 elections in the past 2 years. It's my intention to do my utmost in order to form a national unity government along with my friend Yair Lapid, so that, God willing, together we can save the country from a tailspin and return Israel to its course, Bennett said. The pair have until Wednesday to complete a deal in which each is expected to serve 2 years as prime minister in a rotation deal, with Bennett holding the job first. Lapid's Yesh Atid party said negotiating teams were to meet later Sunday. Bennett, a former top aide to Netanyahu who has held senior cabinet posts, shares the prime minister's hardline ideology. He is a former leader of the West Bank settlement movement and heads a small party whose base includes religious and nationalist Jews. Yet he has had a strained and complicated relationship with his one-time mentor due to personal differences. Bennett said there was no feasible way after the deadlocked March 23 election to form a right-wing government favored by Netanyahu. He said another election would yield the same results and said it was time to end the cycle. A government like this will succeed only if we work together as a group, he said. He said everyone will need to postpone fulfilling part of their dreams. We will focus on what can be done, instead of fighting all day on what's impossible. If Bennett and Lapid and their other partners can wrap up a deal, it would end, at least for the time being, the record-setting tenure of Netanyahu, the most dominant figure in Israeli politics over the past 3 decades. Netanyahu has served as prime minister for the past 12 years and also held an earlier term in the late 1990s. In his own televised statement, Netanyahu accused Bennett of betraying the Israeli right wing and urged nationalist politicians not to join what he called a leftist government. A government like this is a danger to the security of Israel, and is also a danger to the future of the state, he said. Despite his electoral dominance, Netanyahu has become a polarizing figure since he was indicted on charges of fraud, breach of trust and accepting bribes in late 2019. Each of the past 4 elections was seen as a referendum on Netanyahu's fitness to rule, and each ended in deadlock. Netanyahu is desperate to stay in power while he is on trial. He has used his office as a stage to rally his base and lash out against police, prosecutors and the media. In order to form a government, a party leader must secure the support of a 61-seat majority in the 120-seat Knesset, or parliament. Because no single party controls a majority on its own, coalitions are usually built with smaller partners. 13 parties of various sizes are in the current parliament. As leader of the largest party, Netanyahu was given the first opportunity by the country's figurehead president to form a coalition. But he was unable to secure a majority with his traditional religious and nationalist allies. Netanyahu even attempted to court a small Islamist Arab party but was thwarted by a small ultranationalist party with a racist anti-Arab agenda. Although Arabs make up some 20% of Israel's population, an Arab party has never before sat in an Israeli coalition government. After Netanyahu's failure to form a government, Lapid was then given 4 weeks to cobble together a coalition. He has until Wednesday to complete the task. While Bennett's Yamina party controls just 7 seats in parliament, he has emerged as a kingmaker of sorts by providing the necessary support to secure a majority. If he is successful, his party would be the smallest to lead an Israeli government. Lapid already faced a difficult challenge, given the broad range of parties in the anti-Netanyahu bloc that have little in common. They include dovish left-wing parties, a pair of right-wing nationalist parties, including Bennett's Yamina, and most likely the Islamist United Arab List. Lapid's task was made even more difficult after war broke out with Hamas militants in the Gaza Strip on May 10. His coalition talks were put on hold during the 11 days of fighting, but with Wednesday's deadline looming, negotiations have kicked into high gear. Lapid has reached coalition deals with 3 other parties so far. If he finalizes a deal with Bennett, the remaining partners are expected to quickly fall into place. They would then have roughly 1 week to present their coalition to Parliament for a formal vote of confidence allowing it to take office. Yohanan Plesner, president of the Israel Democracy Institute, said Netanyahu will try to undermine those efforts until the end. Netanyahu's main strategy, he said, would be to try to appeal to hardliners in both Bennett's party and New Hope, another hardline party led by a former Netanyahu confidant, to withdraw their support for the new coalition. A defection of just 1 or 2 lawmakers could prevent Lapid from mustering a majority and force another election. Anything might happen, Plesner said. I would wait for the final vote to go through. Even if Lapid and Bennett manage to put together a government, Netanyahu is unlikely to disappear, Plesner said. Netanyahu could remain as opposition leader, working to exploit the deep ideological differences among his opponents to cause the coalition to fracture. History teaches us it would be unwise to write him off, he said. After the removal of the de facto most senior sitting Khazarian mafia leader, a campaign will take place over the summer to cleanse most civilian governments, multiple sources agree. A separate MI6 source located in the Americas confirmed action on the ground, saying, "Something really big is taking place now. Senior members of the cabal are going down. Gates is out of the system now. He has disappeared, not a word was spoken about him. Now it's Fauci's turn. Then, guess who's next? Matt Hancock, followed by Boris Johnson. Humanity is waking up. These purges will prepare the ground for a complete revamp of post-World War II institutions including the UN and the BIS, the sources say. There has been a coalescence among the world's intelligence agencies because we share a common enemy," was how the head of MI6, the real head not the public one, described the situation. The CIA, which is a consortium run out of Switzerland, agrees, according to senior CIA sources. These agencies have come to the conclusion that if urgent action is not taken, billions of people will die by the autumn, the MI6 and CIA sources said. As a part of this campaign of removal, MI6 has decided to publicly name the person who ordered the murder of Princess Diana Spencer. This was